that's what I get. Is you hate strength training? You hate strength training, and it's not actually the case. It's more like do your homework and know where things cease to exist. But anyway, Erica, welcome to the Sam Portland podcast. The roles have switched.
I'm
So
excited.
I've been on your podcast 3 times, haven't I?
I believe so. Oh my gosh.
3 times.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know, I'm very proud to say that I am a repeat guest on many podcasts because, you know, I take being a guest quite seriously. So, because you've got to bring the juice. If someone's in, like, they're giving an hour and, running a podcast, it's like, it can be a bit of a pain in the ass, can't it? So, you've got to
Well, I
show up and turn
wanted
out.
I wanted to have you on, and I don't know if you get this now that you're a podcast host, but I'll get DMs from strength coaches I don't even know, and we haven't even built a relationship yet, and they're like, "Can I come on your podcast?" And I'm just saying, I don't know who you are. I don't know your work. And like, I'm going to interview who I want to interview, which is plain and
Yeah.
simple. I don't
Hmm.
know if you've gotten that, but you're sitting down with someone for an hour or more. And I have to really want to talk to you and be excited
Yes.
about your work. So for you, I had you on multiple times. So I like what you have to say.
There we go. There we go. That's the clip for the podcast there. But so I've done a couple of interesting things. So I've recorded about 150 episodes. I started this podcast a long time ago and picked it up and put it down. But I'm enjoying the way I'm doing it now. Mixing in short solo episodes and then bringing on cool guests because you can story tell better. And let's be honest, social media is a fucking cesspit to get information across. And anyone worth their salt just needs to listen to a conversation. But I've done some wild things to get guests on. I just put my booking link out there and got people to book on. And I had about 10 people that I'd never spoke to before, and I just did podcasts with them. It was crazy. I don't think I'll do it again. But the funniest one was that a guy took a job in professional soccer and he didn't even know what country the job was in. He Googled the location after he took the job. And then you had like the other end of the spectrum. There's a guy, really kind guy called Nate Young, who lost his job as a strength coach and now still works at the same place, but has to be like a caretaker janitor until another job comes up because he can't move his family. And he doesn't want to move his family to go and find a new job. And, understanding those responsibilities and those scenarios of coaching is not spoke about. So I have to be grateful for that. But anyway, enough about my podcast. I want to start off talking about your podcast and what made you start a podcast, Erica.
That's a good question. Well, I started my podcast during COVID, and I think it was
Mm-hmm.
that time when everyone was kind of sitting around and doing more remote pursuits. And I
Yeah.
had always blogged and written a lot up to that point. I've
Mm-hmm.
blogged for over 10 years on my
Yeah.
website on performance
Nice.
training because I just love writing. I love talking about performance training, but I just wanted to it not be me sharing information. So
Yeah.
I wanted to have guests on who have dedicated their lives to female athlete performance, nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
recovery, psychology, and selfishly too. I wanted it as a continuing education opportunity for myself, and I've
Mm-hmm.
learned a lot from my guests. And I always have, even now on yours, I have my notebook ready to go because
Yeah.
every episode I do, I always learn new nuggets. And it's good because it's also made me question my training too
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of grow as a coach. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's good to learn what other people are doing in the industry. And yeah, I've really loved the podcast for that. And right now I'm doing like 2 episodes a week pretty consistently, sometimes 3, but that's a little ambitious at times. But it's
Mm.
been going really well. And my main audience is sports parents.
Yeah.
which I really am excited about because, like you said, social media is just, there's so much misinformation on training and
Mm-hmm.
nutrition and all the things. And you can only learn so much from a 30-second reel. And you
Yeah.
can't truly make a transformation in your child's performance or injury
Mm-hmm.
resiliency by looking at a 30-second clip. Oh, do these 2 exercises for ACL prevention. I'd rather have longer conversations because it's so much more nuanced than that. How old is the
Yeah.
athlete? What's their training age? I mean, there's so many things that go into it. And
Yeah.
yeah, I've liked the long form content a lot for sports parents because they're just getting blasted with so much misinformation, and they're
Mm.
not only confused, but then they're very flaky. They don't stick to a program or pick a path. And I
Mm-hmm.
always tell people, just have a small group of experts you follow and trust, and they have a body of work and they've gotten people results. Just follow those people and
Mm.
don't look around at your For You page, because you're always going to think the grass is greener, and then you're going to program hop and your kid's not going to be consistent. So that's why
Yeah.
I get excited about the podcast, because it's just those deeper discussions and those nuanced discussions.
Yeah, and I love it, and it's it's part of the reason for bringing it back is that trust-based economy that we live in now. And I'm sure you may be aware of what the BBC did recently, editing a video, um, and that's that the cat's out the bag now. That you here in the our flagship media outlet has just been exposed for defrauding information. So, what do you think Joe Schmo is going to be doing to try and get clickbait online to help you? It's insidious, and so if you talk about body of work, contributing to the body of work, I think you need to. Legacy is for me is something that I love, and I have a couple of programs that revolve around legacy. That if you truly do want to, you have to contribute to the body of work. And I published my book. I know you've published your book. You have a body of work that you can stand by. And if you can dive into that process of, because I think all these things must be interconnected. Writing your book, what was that process like for you?
The editing sucked, I can tell you that, but the actual writing of it, I
Yeah.
enjoyed. Because
Yeah.
the writing, as you know, you can be in the flow state, you're just
Hmm.
pouring out ideas and you're just excited about the concepts. And I think that's
Yeah.
why a lot of strength coaches who have been in this for a while eventually write a book. They just have so
Hmm.
much to share, and
Hmm.
methods that they've used that have worked for their population,
Hmm.
and research behind it as well. But yeah, I love the writing of the book. I never felt I had writer's block. It was just always just a dumping of ideas. And then when
Yeah.
you go back and edit it, you're like, oh, wow, I really need to like reformat this. The editing took probably longer than the actual writing piece.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not going to write another book anytime soon. I'll tell you that. It's just, it's exhausting after two.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I was really glad to get the female athlete books out there because there wasn't a lot on female athlete training.
Hmm.
And the main differences are during the growth spurt that I really wanted to discuss, and how to train properly and why it's so important during that preteen and teen phase
Yeah.
to get quality programming for the injury
Hmm.
resiliency side, especially, and then proper nutrition information
Hmm.
for just the growth and the health of the athlete. So that's why I wanted to get the book out there, because there wasn't a lot of resources on it at the time.
Mm.
When I wrote my first book, I think it was 2019 or
Yeah.
no, 2020 when I published it. And then the
Okay.
second one was 2021. I forgot, but yeah, I just really wanted to get out information on female athletes, and then also just some misconceptions. The second book, I dive more into the menstrual cycle misinformation, and I actually
Hmm.
presented on it last weekend, and we can get into that story. But the information with the menstrual cycle is very fear based, and I
Hmm.
want to approach it from more of an empowering mindset for female athletes. So they don't fear their hormones, they don't fear their bodies, they don't have a bitter taste in their mouth that they have a menstrual cycle and it might increase injury. I wanted to get truthful and science-based information out there so female athletes weren't scared of getting injured
Yeah.
during a certain time of the month. So the second book really focused on a lot of just debunking of misinformation in the female athlete space.
Yeah, I really respect that. And when you said about my my first inclination, where you say about not a lot of information about female athletic training, and my first inclination was say when most of it was originally written by men, there's a lack of lived experience there when trying to advise the female population with sport, and a ton of scaremongering.
And
I
for
wanted to
even
ask.
like fragility and just, I think the issue is a lot of male coaches think you have to, I don't know how to put this, treat female athletes like they just need to do lighter stuff or like, you know, like,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
because when this whole idea of ACL injury prevention came out, it was,
Hmm.
oh, let's have our girls soccer teams do clamshells and mini band walks and warm up. And that's
Yeah.
going to move the needle. And when I wrote female athlete high performance, I called it high performance because my whole idea is chase high performance first
Mm,
and then the injury resiliency follows. But chasing high performance is getting after it. It's not
yes.
doing mini band walks. It's gaining strength relative to body weight, doing a proper plyometric program, making sure it's coached properly, working on deceleration, and then the reactive side of sports, which also plays into injury. So, yeah, I think the issue with the whole like female athlete training, it's not different than boys. Girls
Hmm.
can be pushed. And I think
Hmm.
that's the misconception that a lot of people get wrong with the injury prevention side of things. They think it's some sort of standalone program when it
Yeah.
really is quality S&C.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. Like good practice, good quality practice. Like one of the things when like I haven't really spoke to anyone about the writing process, and I because of my dyslexia, I think I said to you on one of the podcasts, I actually spoke my book, and you go back to the edit and you think, God, I do waffle. Um, but about getting like that stream of consciousness going, did you find there is when you were kind of working through it? I bet the blogging helped because you've got like you can pull this idea. But did you? And you said you never got writer's block, but did you experience like the huge dump once it was done of like dopamine just completely gone?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the blogging definitely helped because I did repurpose some of it, not
Hmm.
a lot. I would say the most recent book, Female Athlete High Performance, which is right there, the black one.
Yeah.
Um, it was mostly from scratch. And I think I was able to have all these ideas and just dump them out because I'm in the trenches daily with young
Mm,
girls and their parents. The stories I have, Sam, are crazy. And I've been doing this for almost 14 years. And when I think the stories can't get any crazier, they do.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I started each chapter with a story of a
Mm,
parent maybe pushing their kid or having this no days off mindset. And that started the overuse and overtraining chapter, or the long-term athletic development chapter, how training should be adjusted based on growth, maturation, and training age of the
mm,
athlete. And I tell a story at the start of that chapter how I did a speed camp one year in the summer for 9 to 11-year-olds. And when we were playing fun games and tag and racing and doing games that weren't just good for speed, but also for their brains, I'm really into the reactive component of speed
Yeah.
because that transfers better. So after the first night of camp, Sam, 2 moms emailed me the next day and they said, "We want a refund. We're dropping out of the camp." Can you guess why?
They were not getting basically like beasted.
Yeah, the one mom told me they wanted like marching, a skip drills, like this very structured
Oh,
speed training. She wanted
right.
ladder drills and for me to like
Yeah.
overcoach. And my stomach knotted during this time. Like it really made me so sad because it made me think, wow, this is where youth is going. We are
Yeah.
robbing these kids of their childhood. Parents think
Yeah.
they have to train like freaking a 21-year-old pro player, which
Mm.
I would argue 21 pro players shouldn't be doing like A skips all the time. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's a whole other discussion. But yeah, I had 2 moms ask for refunds, and the even crazier part was one of the mom's daughters didn't even come to the first night of the camp. The mom that was there told her about it and was like, "It was too
Oh,
fun. It wasn't enough
yeah.
structure." And then the mom just dropped out without her daughter even trying it. So I
Wow.
refunded like a couple $1,000 in fees. I was like, screw it. You guys leave. I'm just going to
Yeah.
focus on the girls and families who understand why this is important, not just for the
Mm.
physical benefits, but I get more excited about the mental benefits of play for the reaction component of the game, but also just the joy and kids bursting out in laughter during these tag games. I mean,
Yeah.
isn't that what we want for our children who are age
Mm-hmm.
9? I
Mm-hmm.
just that time was really hard, Sam, and I wrote about it in the book, and I just really wanted to get that story across and just how important it is for the health of these kids, but just also the work that goes into planning these games on the coach's end. It took
Mm-hmm.
me a whole day to write my youth speed and agility curriculum and thinking
Mm.
about each game and what physical quality it works on and what reactive component of the game it works on. Like there's so much time that goes into it, but from the outside, parents think it's just a bunch of games. So I
Yes.
really wanted to like portray that side in the book because a lot of parents read my book and yeah, it was a crazy time to say the least.
I really like that structure of sharing lived experience at the beginning of a chapter to then introduce the problem, essentially, isn't it, to then show how they can, because the parent, you said your audience is full of parents. They need information like that, and what better way to get that across than through story and through a book as well. I remember that we had some on one of the podcasts that we did on YouTube. We had quite a few comments of parents, like the ones that show up and show out, like they really are invested and care and have bought into you and your message. Um, can you tell me, like, and share your sort of journey over the 14 years, and also, from your own experience, that I believe we're best placed to serve the people we used to be, and if you could speak on that, that would be amazing.
Yeah, well, I do want to discuss my early coaching years. So I actually started off thinking I wanted to get into college strength and conditioning.
Hmm.
Big mistake. so I so I was training youth in my first few years, but while I was in my master's program for exercise science, I did have an internship at a Division 1 Big Ten school. So I was working with men's soccer, lacrosse, wrestling, all the sports. And
Hmm.
I just didn't like the environment of college S&C. I felt it was very just high volume, get in and get out. Like I felt like I couldn't really impact the athletes.
Yep.
And a lot of them were already like so set in their ways.
Hmm.
And I also was very close in age to them when I was like 22 years old. I'm like, I don't think they
Yeah.
see me as an authority figure. So that didn't help either. But and then just the environment of, and I'm not saying this is the environment for every Division 1 school, but it was a bully type environment from strength
Hmm.
coach to strength coach. I don't know if you've experienced that, but
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
found at a lot of these levels, D1 and pro, it's a
Mm.
lot of strength coaches who are on the same team trying to one up each other or undermine each other. And I
Hmm.
just didn't like the environment, and I just really wanted to have impact and then be able to do things on my own terms. And
Yeah.
I always loved working with kids. I coached kids when I graduated college and undergrad right away back in
Yeah.
2012. And I always enjoyed just hanging out with them more. It was more fun and carefree. And
Yeah.
yeah, so college S&C was hard. So after I finished my master's program, I was like, I think I want to stay in youth because there is a need for quality S&C, and I feel I can really get them started on good habits young, good training young,
Hmm.
and really impact those ages. So yeah, that's when I went all in with youth, was after that master's program. And every year I fall in love with it more, but that doesn't mean it's not challenging. I would say that my career gets harder every year because I'm fighting against parents that think their 9-year-old needs a certain type of training, or
Yeah.
parents of a high school girl who they just want her to come in and out and not commit to a consistent progress program.
Mm.
So I'm still fighting against that, but I've gotten a lot clearer in my assessment process, just my offerings and my coaching. You have to commit. It's monthly, and you
Mm.
can't just do like the lessons model where you pop in and out.
Yeah.
Just Venmo me $50 here. Like that's
Yeah.
when a kid doesn't get any results. So I make it very clear to people now up front before they sign up, hey, this is a program. This is not just you
Hmm.
come as you want. So I've gotten a lot more clear with all of that because I feel I can impact with that consistency piece a lot better. And I've had girls now who've trained for, gosh, over 4 years, and you can change someone in that amount of time. And I try to tell parents, if you're in this for the long haul, I mean, by the time, if they start at age 13 and by the time they're 17, we are going to be doing some crazy things.
Yes.
We are
Yes.
going to be doing some of those crazy drills you see on social media.
Yeah.
So I love having those girls long term because they have to earn those advanced drills and really get the basics down. So that's kind of been my journey. And yeah, it does get harder each year, but
Mm.
I think when there is challenge in your career, it gives you more meaning. But the
Yeah.
difference is my challenge is on my terms. It's not me entering into an environment that's toxic and I hate going to work. I
Yeah.
like the challenges that I'm faced with in the youth space.
Yeah. No, yeah, you should have a lot of pride in that. The, um, I can resonate with that quite a lot. Like I was coaching before I was in professional, and then I chased. I thought like your modeling is on corporate modeling, so I thought if you got the England job, the national job, you were like the best, and that's how it worked. And it really isn't. And then move out, you do your own thing, really go all in on all of that, and then you find yourself through different iterations getting really lost with what you're trying to achieve because there's so much evolution. And when, as I said about the book, like the massive dump afterwards, like I wanted to give it all up because I was like, I don't know what else to do. Like we've moved 200 miles to a different part of the country. What do I do now? So it's like there is that huge part of like, how do you keep redefining things on your own terms to get up every day and go again and keep reimagining what you're doing. And you say like you have to keep re-falling in love with it. And you talk something there about some of these environments, and there is a huge scarcity culture within the performance coaching practice because everyone knows you don't get paid enough. Everyone knows you're not valued enough. And none of them have got the guts to try and do it on their own terms. So they just sit in this fear bubble. And it's like, it's almost like being afraid of heights, but just being high enough to keep reminding yourself you're afraid of heights. You know, and that's where they'll sit and be happy, you know, to be complained, and then it's like just eat themselves. You know, it's an internal. You go online and you see people arguing about HRV, for Christ's sake. And it's like, do you know what I mean? It's those things, and I'm driving this to a point that, you know, you've built something really successful. I know you got a gym at home as well,
That's the
and
best.
like that's awesome. You know, and it's your baby. It's got your heartbeat. You can do what you want with it. And then you were invited to speak at the conference in Florida last weekend on female. You said menstrual cycle, right? Was that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us about that experience?
Sure. How much time do you have? Okay, so, well, it was kind of my fault because the title of my presentation was triggering for a reason. So the title was Training Around the Menstrual Cycle, the Biggest Scam, in all caps, in female athlete training.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there, and I'm very confident with my presentation. I've spoken on this many times. I've done the research on it, the up-to-date research on the menstrual cycle, not the research from the early 2000s. That's completely confusing and unreliable and has inaccurate hormone tracking, which we should not base suggestions off of. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there. So I go around 1:00 in the middle of the day. So I'm sitting in the first presentation, and another woman is going, and she's great. I mean, she is someone I really respect. And I didn't know her presentation was also going to touch on the menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
So she talked about how you should train around it. And that was her whole thing. And I'm like, well, they didn't tell me she was saying this. I mean, I don't care because I'm confident in mine, but it's just wild that they had us both speak on the same topic. So I'm sitting there like, oh boy, like the audience is going to be shocked with what I have to say. So, so she finishes, and then it's lunch break. And then I go after lunch break, and I'm just grabbing some food, and this guy, I overhear him say, and he was about 20 years older than me. I overhear him say in like a very sarcastic tone, well, I can't wait for this next presentation on the menstrual cycle. And I go, oh, that's me. I'm really excited. I love this topic. So I hope you enjoy it. And I was very cordial. And he goes, well, like you heard Kelsey go earlier. I mean, what are you going to say to her? Do you have an opposing view? Like, I'm really curious what your view is. And just kind of like poking the bear at me. And I'm like, I don't know you. I'm just trying to get lunch. I'm about to go on in 2 minutes. I get nervous. I always get nervous before I speak. So I'm like nervous, and this guy's coming up. I'm like, what is going on? And so I'm like, and then he's like, well, good luck out there. Like, can't wait to see what you have to say, like almost wanting me to fail. Like, kind of like that. And I'm like, this is crazy. So I get on stage. It went amazing. I probably got the biggest round of applause. At least that's what my husband said. And then
you got a good husband.
Yeah. And then after the presentation, a lot of women came up to me and said, thank you so much for saying this. We also thought that training around the menstrual cycle is the most disempowering thing for females, but we're so afraid to say it because this whole idea of training around it is trendy right now. And you have people on the mainstream Huberman podcast and Diary of a CEO talking about why you have to do it. Not going to name names, but they're like, yeah, we thought this was weird too. And the research you presented makes a lot of sense why it's actually more harmful than good from a load management standpoint, a training adaptation standpoint. It doesn't make sense to cut back 2 weeks every month because you need consistency in programming.
Yeah.
So you can't just tell girls to cut volume or intensity? Or what if there's a championship game that week, and are you going to tell her to sit out because she's on her period? So everyone agreed with me for the most part. Casey, my husband, told me when I got back to my seat, he said that same guy who came up to me at lunch break before I went on stage, the guy said to the other people sitting next to him, I can't believe she thinks this is a scam. It's not a scam. Women should train around their cycle. And he's like crap talking me before I even speak. And then after the presentation, he was so eager to talk to me before. He didn't say one word to me after the presentation.
Yeah. Wow. It does. It sums it up, doesn't it?
It sums it up. Yeah.
Fear what they don't understand. And,
being open to, like, it's not even that. It's like to go up to another professional before they're about to get on stage and kind of poke the bear. It's just bizarre to me. I would never do that to someone and be like, oh, well, good luck out there. Like, we'll see what you have to say. Like, and treat them like they're like stupid. Like it was very bizarre.
Was he in his school polo shirt and chinos?
Yes.
Because he did the classic look.
And also, I forgot to mention in our interaction, I didn't even ask him about the work that he did. I was just like very cordial. I'm like, hey, yeah, like, thank you so much. Like, I'm really excited to talk on this. I love this topic and giving a new perspective. And he goes, well, I've done this research and I've written this publication. And I'm like, I didn't even ask you. And Sam, this has happened to me multiple times at conferences where these academics in S&C will just volunteer. Oh, I've written this. I'm like, I didn't even ask. Like, it's like, it's so bizarre to me. You know what that's about?
Yeah, well, it is that. It's that. I think it's that human nature to seem significant at these, an academic. There's a quote that I heard. The reason why people literally academic research is just about arguing, point proving and arguing, isn't it? Disprove this, prove, and they say the reason why people argue so much in academia is because the stakes are so low. Ultimately, the stakes of it are just so low. And then you also have and typically men have very fragile egos. And so, combine it with I've thought about this a lot. You combine it with the adopted culture of our profession. You've got the published research, someone who really, whatever. And then, you have this perfect blend of insecurity.
And it's interesting you say that, because I think a lot of people in our industry, they're textbook focused. But at the end of the day, if you're working with athletes, you're in the research daily. And I did give evidence-based work in my presentation, but I also talked about the anecdotes of 14 years of interacting with young female athletes on a daily basis. And I gave a lot of examples of, look, not all of them feel bad to train during their periods. I've had girls walk into my gym ready to lift, ready to run sprints and do agility. And if I would follow this whole phase-based model, it would tell me to tell them to cut back during those times, but they actually felt great. So it's even those anecdotes and those stories. And I've had girls get rid of negative symptoms altogether. And my whole point is female athletes can train hard and compete across all phases of their menstrual cycle. And they can win across all phases. And I also started my presentation off with a history lesson to set the stage. So in the 1900s, female athletes were discouraged in the medical journals and by sports organizations to not compete during their periods. And I said to the audience, are we repeating history? Are we actually sending women decades in reverse by suggesting how they should train around their periods and that they should rest or do yoga or cut back or do lighter
Yeah.
weights. No, we can help them with nutrition tools, lifestyle factors, because those help improve symptoms. And you can get rid of symptoms altogether. I've done it myself. I know a lot of girls who have done it and they feel great the whole month. We should do that and actually empower rather than telling them, like in the 1900s, to sit out because they're fragile during
Yeah.
certain times of the month. So that's how I started the presentation, to be like, you guys are not being progressive here. You're actually regressive.
Yeah, I think that's such a valid point. I actually used an analogy on one of the podcasts I recorded earlier today. I have to bring it up because I was being a bit flippant, but we were talking about managing training and predictive models of training. And I actually said, like, none of it really works or matters. And I actually said the only thing predictive in biology is that a woman will have a period. And like, but even then, it shouldn't stop you. Like, and my friend was the head of Chelsea Ladies when this was 2015, 2016. So they were trying to model around, they were logging menstrual cycles then. And I went in to speak to him. He was just trying to apply research. And they were trying to make training adjustments based on when the ladies were having their periods, and I thought, well, that is a big old job. And in the logical reasoning in my head, anything that I see in a sport world or any situation scenario, I'll lift it up and I'll put it into another example to see if it tests. So would you say that a female would have to modify their whole day in normal life because they're having a period?
Or it's usually a 2-week time period where
Yes.
the phase-based crowd would be like, well, during the second half of the cycle, everyone feels bad, so we need to
Yes.
cut back. But I think the psychological impact is worse, because imagine telling half of your team who are maybe in the second half of their cycle, imagine telling half of the team, you can't participate in this
Yeah.
small-sided game, but we have a game this weekend that we have to prepare for. You
Yeah.
need the whole squad to participate. Or
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
the S&C coach has a fun agility session plan, you're going to tell some girls to sit out of the fun? No.
Yeah.
It's a
Well, that I just
practical nightmare. And imagine how they feel being told
yeah.
that.
I was just thinking there, like, imagine just telling my fiance, no, you're in this part of your phase, no fun. You're not allowed to have any fun. She would kill me.
This reminded me. So I also in the I was very tongue in cheek during my presentation, but
Yeah.
there's also a whole group of people that will say women need to model their whole lives around their cycle. Like,
Yes.
don't go to social events during the second half
Yes.
because you feel tired or not as social, or don't go on dates. And I'm like, I decided to go on a first date with Casey when I was in my luteal phase, and I'm glad I did, because I never would have met my future husband.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. And
So
like,
it's funny.
yeah, and I think it's such an important conversation. Predominantly have a male audience, and they need to hear this sort of stuff. When I worked in track and field, we had a pretty much 50-50 split, female male, and we never discussed it. It was like, well, okay, we're just training, and I know that symptoms can be quite bad, and some people can have really bad menstrual cycles, but it's not. They've not lost a leg. There's still always something that can be done that's proactive and productive. Like Emma, my fiance, she's a professional singer, dancer, she was in West End shows and stuff. They wouldn't take a show off.
No.
Yeah,
and I gave the example. So Paula Radcliffe, endurance athlete, she beat her marathon world record while on her period. And how great is that? Everyone would be telling, and in the 1900s too, endurance female athletes were especially discouraged from competing in long distance events while on their period, because it could ruin fertility or reproductive health, or they can't handle the training loads. But Paula Radcliffe was like, no, we're going to be empowered. We're still going to do the best we can and show up.
Yeah.
And
Again, the irony.
yeah, right. And I tried to also comfort the male coaches at this conference. Look, you just because you coach female athletes, you don't need to even bring it up.
Yeah.
Just focus on quality S&C, load
Mhm.
management, getting
Mhm.
recovery on the micro level. That moves the needle more and actually helps symptoms more than adding in this whole layer. And I've oftentimes found that female athletes who don't get a lot of negative symptoms, they just hydrate well. They're on top of their nutrition. They're not on the 7-day a week training grind. They're very smart with their
Yes.
recovery. And it really will always return back to basics. And I
Mhm.
feel like I'm always selling common sense back to people. I'm not saying
Yeah.
anything revolutionary here,
Mhm.
but it's
Yeah.
crazy.
No, it's true. Like there is a saying: if you could bottle common sense, you'd be a millionaire. That and it's and you talk about some of these other like mainstream platforms, and again, like a few of these stress tests. Like if you go and listen to these CEO lab type people, but if you go and listen to a guest that you are very well versed in, you will then see how you cannot trust everything else that's being said around it. They say, like in the newspaper, if you read something you know a lot about, show how distorted it all is, and they hide behind the fact that they've got PhDs and what's his
Mm-hmm.
name, Stephen Bartlett, just basically puts all the companies he invests in on his podcast, and it's all of that. So, which is why we get back to the message and your power that you sit in there is that being a perennial figure in your space is really important, not just to your business, but to the wider practice of our work.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about Stephen Bartlett because so I used to watch all those podcasts, but now I see through the BS.
Mm.
And it was just too much information, and too much
Yep.
information is bad information because
Mm-hmm.
one week he'll have a guest on being like, you need to go vegan, and then the next week it's like full carnivore, and it's
Yep.
like, just do what works for you. You
Mm-hmm.
are your own study. Like, do what
Yeah.
works for you. And yeah, I it's so funny, I'm a podcast host, but I don't really listen to other podcasts.
No, for stuff like that, it's just growth strategy, isn't it? Like, I enjoy I enjoy Joe Rogan because I just listened to the
Yes.
one with Billy Bob Thornton. He gets some amazing guests because he's like the real deal. Um, I don't prescribe to the people they model their masculinity on Joe Rogan, that sort of stuff. But um, and do you know I actually I listen to a lot of Ed Milet.
Oh yeah, Ed's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got his book, The Power of One More. Like
Yep.
he's like I just can sit in my car and then I'm just like I'm
He's
ready
good.
to go. Like let's go sort of
Yeah.
thing. He gets me in the feels a lot. But I think that speaks to emotional intelligence. You know, a lot of if you've not anyone, just go listen to Ed Milet's podcast, motivational speaker, very well thought out man, can teach you so much about coaching because it's about understanding who you are and people and being able to um, essentially mirror well. That's what he'll do really well, is hold up that mirror. And for you, like when you get clients in and you get people into your program, you get 3 clients for one athlete. If there's you get a mum, a dad, and the athlete. So how does that dynamic um, take place? How do you deal with that dynamic sometimes in your business and your coaching?
I think it starts with just the expectations I talk about on day one. And
Mm-hmm.
just, I'm very clear with what people are signing up for and the
Mm.
process and the commitment and the discipline that it takes. And on day one, I actually have parents. I used to not do this, but I've changed my mind on it. I have parents watch our assessment. My gym's small, so at first I was like, oh, it's kind of like the parents on top of the girl and the assessment, but I always offer it and I say, hey, you guys feel free to sit in my desk chair, and it's, you know, it's up to your daughter if she wants you to stay during this, but if you want to see our process, like, feel free to stay, because I want them to understand the coaching that they're getting and how it's different than the Joe Schmo who's just gonna run your girl through like a rainbow of cones and overcoach and like not really teach anything. So I always have them watch the assessment process, because also during that process I explain to the girl why we do the things that we do in the gym and why we do certain plyometric drills and progress or regress. And I want the parent to be a part of that conversation. I don't want them to just think, oh, like, I'm just signing my daughter up with a speed trainer. So I want them to all be on the same page. And then when the assessment's over, I'm just very honest where people are at. And I always say, look, your daughter can always improve based on her baseline, but recognize I can't get every girl to be Usain Bolt. And just be honest with them, because I think oftentimes a lot of parents think, oh, well, if you hire a speed coach, they're going to be the fastest on the team. But there's genetics that goes into it. There's the thinking component of speed as well. And there's a lot that goes into it. So I always tell people, look, you can improve based on you. So keep your eyes on your own paper. And everyone in my program has their own program. Everyone's doing different weights, different plyos, different progressions. And I think parents appreciate that it's individualized. That's why I like having a smaller space, because I can really focus on 1, 2, sometimes 3 athletes at a time, but they're all on their own program. So, and I've really grown to appreciate in-person coaching. I think there was this whole trend around COVID where it was like every strength coach needs to do remote. I don't think it's for everyone. And I found if you're working with youth, not every youth athlete should do a remote program. I've told people on consult calls, this is not a fit, because you have to have some form of self-motivation going into it, because you do have to take responsibility, get the workouts done. The coach isn't there. So it's not for everyone, but I've really embraced in-person more. I think it's making a comeback, actually.
Huge.
So I would say now I am 90% in person and 10% remote, and just really focusing on growing in my own community and like that legacy you talk about, just, you know, trying to spread the word of quality training, especially during the growth spurt years, and having the right coach for youth female athletes. And I think in person's making a comeback, because with AI and its ability to potentially write better programs one day, it's not there yet, but I think people need that connection and that community and just a place to go to and a coach to be with still.
Oh, absolutely. Like in my mastermind, legacy mastermind, I talk to coaches, and there is as you said, like you are so right on, because I do this with coaches all the time. Like, I want to go online. Well, why do you want to go online? Who do you want to coach online? You know, and because some people just don't like the coaching they're doing at the moment. Okay, well, who do you want to coach? How do you build a coaching career? Because, you know, part of, you know, when you've gone through some of the cycles and come out the other side, you can help people with careers. Speaking to people like yourself is a great example of how you can do it on your own terms. You can build something. You can, I always say, the UK is 10 years behind America. All the gyms over here now being built like collegiate gyms, and youth. We started an academy 10 years ago, but now they're popping up all over the place. Youth training. So, but you can. The main difference, obviously, with online and in person is someone online doesn't need to be coached in person. It's that simple, isn't it? You know, and COVID came, everyone didn't have a job, and people decided to, you know, we're going to do online programming. Everyone had poo-pooed before, started doing it.
Yeah.
And you saw it coming, didn't you? You're like, oh my God. We
Yep.
put out a £10 program. I was like, I'm not going to do this off. We'll do it. £10. We sold like 3,000 of them or something. Put all the jokers out of business. But yeah, so if you can, when you think about like the way that you run your business now and how you operate it, your gym, is it a double garage sort of space? Single garage? Double.
Double. Yeah.
So
So
what's
the
that, about
most we
10 meters
have,
wide?
it's actually a wider double. So that's been really nice. We have two squat racks in there, 2 pull-up bars. We have a rock climbing wall in there.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
that's impressive.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
all ages use it. Like we all use it. We have a climbing rope. We have dumbbells, TRX, all the things.
Yeah.
We have turf in there too.
Yes.
And then we just moved into this new house 6 months ago. We have a whole side yard, big yard for agility, speed. So we'll step outside and do field work and then come back in, which has been amazing. We can fit like 5 people in there max at a time. I don't go more than that.
No.
So but 5's a good number. So like in the off season, that's when we'll reach the max in the groups. But right now during season, it's usually like 2 or 3 and it's perfect. So
Well, like, I think it's, because when we talk about how do you make money as a coach as well? Like, how do you build a career? We all got to get paid. Like, that's a really great model that people can adopt. Like, you can go to your local sports club and use their field and do bodyweight training, or we used a changing room to do step ups and dips on the bench as like the first kind of where we started. And it's, like for that, I remember you saying the last time we spoke, you were actually moving. And 5 in a group. Are you working 5 nights a week? Are you how are you structuring the way that you're coaching people?
So I do Monday through Thursdays because Fridays I like to give everyone off because they have games on the weekend.
Okay.
So yeah, just that game readiness and freshness. And then I do work on Saturday mornings for a few hours, which I actually really enjoy. So that's my ACL return to play group.
Amazing.
Because they need more of that like individual attention. And they do come during the week, but during hours where there's not like my healthy girls there. So, so 5, I'd say 4.5 days a week. And then off Sundays. It's been really good. And I think, like for the coaches listening, you don't have to be big or scale. As you know, I think a lot of people chase like the big clubs or the big facilities, and they think that's what they want because it sounds cool, or you're working with like big athletes. But I think it's okay to be small and you can still do very well and still have a little bit of balance. I mean, it's not to say like it's not hard work. It is, because when you do your own business, it's all on you. So you kind of have to work hard. But it's on your own terms. That's the difference.
Yes.
And I think people need to ask, what costs am I willing to put up with? If you want to go pro and work in the college sector, there's costs there. But then in the private sector, being a little smaller, there's also costs there. So you have to ask, which one do I want to put up with? Because every job has costs to it.
You're bang on the money there, and being able to like, and there's a huge misconception where coach, especially with like online, like there's all the business gurus and like Shimozis and all these types of people, and there's a huge disconnect with actually the type of work that we do and have done. And also you're not going to sell your business, so you're not getting the way that is put across is about exiting businesses, and you're not there to do it. When you, like Louis Simmons at Westside, is like, when I'm dead, Westside's gone, and people are like keeping the legacy alive, but it's not anymore. Like when we decide to stop, it's done,
Yeah.
and our books are left. So you're able to build something that works for you, and able to sit in that space of accomplishment, knowing you've done it all.
Yeah. It's interesting. A lot of the business coaches in the fitness and S&C world that are popping up, they all give like the same cookie cutter advice. So you need to scale, you need to sell a subscription model for cheap and get over 1,000 members. And they're not understanding the person in front of them and the population they work with and their size of business. Not everyone has to scale. And
Yeah.
I really like Jonathan Goodman. He's more in the personal training world,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he gives really good advice, and his book The Obvious Choice was awesome, and it's just more realistic and nuanced for people who don't need to be big, and they can still profit and do really well and keep their sanity.
Yes. Yeah. And what a nice way to go about your life. I'm assuming, obviously, the kids are at school, so you would work late afternoons to early evenings, and
Yeah.
a bit of Saturday morning. You get to do your own training. You do a bit of work. Like, what a nice lifestyle you must have.
Yeah,
And also throw on like a USA sprinting vest at some point,
yeah.
didn't you? Something like that.
Yeah, it's been nice. My own training's only like 30 minutes max when I work out, so it's really
Yeah.
efficient. But yeah, in the mornings I like to do creative work, so my writing and podcasting. I do some consulting stuff on the side. So
Yep.
I do like all the computer work in the morning.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then starting at 2 p.m. is when, okay, I go into coaching mode until about 6:30, 7 p.m. at night. So
Nice.
gone are the days where I'm working till 9 p.m. at night. I don't do 8 p.m. sessions anymore. I think that's crazy. Get your kids to bed. Like, stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for them to start with you at 2 p.m., are they coming out of school, or
Yeah.
how does that work?
Yeah, they're out of school, and I actually have some homeschoolers. There's a lot of homeschool girls in Florida who come a little
Of
bit earlier.
course. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
Wow.
ton.
Love that.
Yeah,
Love that.
so it's big here, but yeah, I would say most of them come after school before
Yeah.
their club practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they
Nice.
do really well, and I think that's another thing with parents is they get scared of the in-season stuff because they think they're overdoing it. But I just tell them, hey, we lower the sets and reps. We don't do anything crazy to tire them out, and they do really well with it before practice. So
Yeah. I think, well, lovely, very nice setup. Very nice setup. You were talking about with the climbing frame and stuff like that. Are you familiar with the child development schema Montessori?
no.
So it's like play. So it's essentially, to confirm, I've got it next to me, but it's child-led learning in environment through real hands-on and self-directed activity. So when you're talking about the speed-based games, that play comes from that kind of Montessori, and I think some early, like it's building blocks and all that sort of stuff that kids do. But there's so much premise for the free play elements within coaching that it actually, what we fail to realize, how much of our early adoption to learning is spent there. So when coaches go, oh, and you look at every team sport, like cricketers in England, they love to play football before the warm up. Footballers, soccer players will play like rondos before practice. Rugby players will want to play football before rugby. They'll always want to play a game that's not their sport before they play their sport, because that's how the brain, it's how we're built, engage and learn and stuff like that. So, keep the games coming. But it made me think that you got a climbing wall. Like that is pure led development. I bet they love it.
It's great. Yeah, it was the best decision we made for the gym.
Yeah.
So
good.
yeah, it's awesome. And then when they like jump off of it onto the mat, I mean, that's deceleration and landing and slamming on the knee. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
it's
So
great.
good.
But
So good. So, like, well, that's an hour. Bloody hell.
yeah, I have a hair appointment.
That's okay. No, go get your hair done. That's what you need to do. Fancy
Well,
Friday.
it's my birthday this weekend, so
Happy
we're
birthday.
going out and gotta put myself together for once.
So for anyone who's listening to this, Erica, that wants to just reach out to you, wants to learn more about female athlete training or whatever and stuff you do, where should they contact you?
Just go to my Instagram, Fit Soccer Queen, and then if you go to the link in my bio page, everything's there. The books, website, contact, or you can just send me a message.
Amazing. Good stuff. Well, thank you so much. Did you enjoy that? I enjoyed it.
Oh, that was so fun. It's like Joe Rogan.
I just needed Jamie to pull things up on the screen.
Yes.
So thank you so much for today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.